Everybody, today I'm in East Fishers and I'm actually in a parking lot, which is not terribly exciting, but anyhow, got a Kroger over here, which is a big grocery store found across a lot of places across the country, but it's the big one around here, and just various other shops over here. Got a couple of banks, and there's a Starbucks over there, and paint store. So, not terribly exciting, of course. This is the kind of stuff that you're going to find in virtually every decent sized city across the entire country, but I am in western Fishers right now. In fact, if you go a little bit west of here, you'd find the border of it. So we're going to talk about just this area a little bit, western Fishers, Indiana, in this video, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If you want to know everything there is to know about Fishers, Indiana, not necessarily Kroger or anything like that, but Fishers, Indiana, Carmel, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, any of the surrounding cities and towns, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. Now, we have people reaching out to us from all over the country with questions about places like Fishers, Indiana, or Carmel, Indiana next door, or Indianapolis, Indiana. So if you have questions at all about those places or any of the surrounding cities and towns, then make sure to reach out to us any ways you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions, and we'll certainly have your back when it comes time for you to make your move to Fishers, Carmel, Indianapolis, any of the surrounding cities. Okay, so I'm in pretty far western Fishers still, and I've left that parking lot, which definitely not very exciting unless you need all of those things, but it's interesting actually going through places like Fishers and Carmel especially, and then you get into Noblesville and Westfield, and when we're going around with people that don't live in this area and they're looking at different houses, a lot of times they'll ask, are we near anything at all? Like a grocery store or a hardware store, a gym, fitness center, Starbucks, whatever. And my answer is always absolutely you are. You're always easily within probably 10 minutes at the worst of anything like that. And it just sometimes doesn't feel like that when you're going down some of the bigger roads or the more traveled roads. And it can give you that sense. So anyhow, I am in this particular neighborhood in far western Fishers, and you could get that sense. But I mean literally probably 400 feet from where I'm standing, 300 feet just to the east is where I just was. So I was in that parking lot of Kroger, right next to the Starbucks. If I'm going up this direction, pretty hard to see behind me here with all the trees, but just beyond these trees is really where all of that stuff is. So you can get into an area like this and think, I'm really not close to anything, but in truth, you really are close to pretty much everything that you need. Now, western Fishers, it has a different feel than eastern Fishers, and that's kind of what we want to talk about here today. So western Fishers is the older part of Fishers. So it was the very first part. I mean, when we're talking Fishers was maybe 9,000 people. That's where most of those people were, in western Fishers. And so you get a lot of houses that were built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're a little bit smaller. And honestly, a lot of those neighborhoods are kind of the more affordable neighborhoods that you're going to find in Fishers. And then when you get out further to the east, that's where the newer part of Fishers is. That's where Fishers in the 2000s really took off and exploded and got so much bigger. And a lot of those homes were built in the 90s and 2000s. And of course, they're going to be a little bit different. The neighborhoods, at least, they're going to have a different feel in a lot of cases than what this particular part of Fishers does. So this side, even though this particular neighborhood here, it's really close to River Glen Golf Course, and this neighborhood over is called River Ridge, and this one here is River Glen. There's a couple different parts to it. It's a little bit newer, but it was squeezed right in here in the western part of Fishers, because if you go just barely to the west of where I'm standing right now, you get to the border of Fishers, and the border is pretty much a hard stop between Fishers and Carmel. And this is one of the last neighborhoods that you're going to see before you get to that hard stop, because the hard stop, the hard line really between Carmel and the far eastern side of Carmel and then the far western side of Fishers is the White River. And I'm walking down this street here, and you'll see, of course, cars going by me because this road connects a lot of these neighborhoods together, but that's 116th Street just up there. So if you go up to 116th Street, which I'm walking towards the south right now, and it's kind of the morning, so you can see this eastern sun hitting me from this side, and walking into the shade really feels pretty nice. But you go right up to 116th Street, there's a gas station across the street, take a left, and there's that Starbucks and Kroger. I mean, it is absolutely right there. It's just on the other side of the houses that you can see here behind me right now. But this is it. Once you get past this, you're gonna notice a falling off of pretty much everything. The houses will start to fade. Certainly the commercial aspect of this part of Fishers is getting to fade. And this part of Fishers is actually really commercial. So you got that Kroger and that whole shopping complex right there on 116th Street and Allisonville Road, which is the major north-south street there. But just to the east of that is downtown Fishers. And downtown Fishers isn't new. It's been there a really long time, but the size a long time ago was really quite small. It was very, very tiny. And a lot of people know now, of course, that it's being developed heavily. And so you have a lot of apartments, you have townhomes, you have some new homes, single-family homes, some, although they're incredibly expensive in that particular part of the city. But IKEA, Topgolf, and just everything that the downtown area of Fishers has to offer now is being developed there, completed, or has planned for the future. When you get to this part, you'll notice this falling off, and you actually start to go downhill a little bit, and you get to the White River. And so a lot of the area around the White River is floodplain. So there aren't a whole lot of homes or buildings of really any sort of significance right along that. There are some homes there, but a lot of those homes are in a floodplain, but it's very, very few. And so that White River is actually really pretty. It's awesome land right there along both sides of it. So as soon as you cross the White River, you get into Carmel. Some golf courses. You got Plum Creek Golf Course, Prairie View Golf Course. That's on the Carmel side. Here on the eastern Fishers side, which is West Fishers, but it's the eastern side of the river. Then around here, it's very wooded. Lots and lots of trees, very mature, and you go a little bit north of here and you get to Connor Prairie, which is a living history museum. Awesome place to go for the family. Balloon ride there. They have their amphitheater where the symphony orchestra plays every summer, and they have bands in there and they have different themes. The last one I went to, which has actually been some time now, but they had Star Wars. I know they've had all kinds of different themes. We've seen them do Queen there. There's been Michael Jackson, not Michael Jackson the actual singer, but somebody who actually just plays all the Michael Jackson songs, but it's backed up by the symphony orchestra. And it's absolutely cool. Super, super cool thing to do in the summer with your family or a date night or just with friends, anything like that. But that's Connor Prairie, and that's really, really close to here, just to the north. So this part of Fishers has that really established feel, and it's because it is older. So it's gonna have a lot of neighborhoods that look a lot like this. It's just that when you get to the far western edge of it, it's going to begin to fade out, and because you're getting close to that border between Carmel and Fishers. So I'd say once you get past I-69, right there in downtown Fishers, you start going east of that. Even if you're not from here, you're going to notice a difference in the way that part of Fishers feels. It still has a lot of really established neighborhoods because they've been there since the 90s, and enough time for a lot of trees to grow and to a reasonable size, but nothing like some of the trees that you have here in this neighborhood, which some of them are 50 years old, 60 years old, and in some cases even older than that, especially when you get up here towards River Glen Golf Course and kind of close to the river. Just a really, really pretty part. It just happens to be a little bit smaller, and if you're looking to move into this area, then you're limiting yourself geographically because you're not going to have a tremendous number of choices of homes, just because statistically there aren't as many as when you get into more northern or eastern Fishers out there. But the feel here is, for some people, pretty cool, and that established look, that established feel is something that people are after. But even though it can feel like this, and people ask, am I near anything at all that I might need on a daily basis? The answer is almost undoubtedly, in every single case, yes. So just like I said, all that stuff is just off to our east here. So anyway, the feels of all of these different cities that surround Indianapolis, like Carmel and Fishers, they have different sections. They're not all exactly the same. And if you have questions at all about any of Fishers or any of Carmel or any of Indianapolis or any of the cities that surround Indianapolis, then don't hesitate to reach out any way that you know how. And until the next one, we'll see you later.